Can you see my screen okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. Right. So I am Pana, guys. Thank you for joining this thing today. Just to be honest, it's the first time that I'm doing something like that, so it's a little bit of exciting. It is exciting actually to be able to share the journey, but also all the challenges that I had to face as an international person coming in a different country without knowing anything, and share my experiences with you, who I know how you feel, and I know that with hard work everything is possible. So very very quick agenda. I'll give you a little bit of of my background and what I have done, how I have ended up where I am, and basically I- I'll try to share my experiences of how I navigated this minefield, because it is a minefield and it is like a big labyrinth of how to deal with, especially when you come from a completely different way of understanding and absorbing the surroundings, how you grow up. Right. So the first one, I believe everybody is on a data field, so we are all going to be future, what's to say, colleagues on the data space. I've been doing that the last 25 years, so I know a lot of people around the industry, and I know that everybody share the same uh, points of view on data and on many other, non-data related aspects. So why data and why now? Well, as you can see there, 150 billion pounds in the UK data economy is expected by 2025, i.e., by the end of the year. Every industry relies on data. 85% and more than 85% of the companies in UK are basically looking for data professional. I mean, my business, the main offering, apart from all the software solutions that we're doing, are depending on the data, and I'll basically talk a little bit more about it later on. And data is, as you can understand, is a very, very, very transferable skill, and it can be applied everywhere. I mean, can be the same process on the data can be applied in retail, can be applied in manufacturing, can be applied in pharmaceutical industry. It's absolutely everywhere, and everybody needs an analyst. All the numbers that you basically see and all the numbers that the executives require are coming from the analysts, are coming from the data, how you basically analyze and look this data. So all of it is coming from there. And of course, the very, very big buzzwords, guys, AI. And AI, if you don't have the right data, AI will not be able to help you. And you know that with ChatGPT. I'm sure that you've used the AI to create some pictures or some content and all this kind of thing. If you don't say specifically and accurately you want the AI to generate, which is based on the data that you feed, you will not get that back. And of course, data is always growing up in in every sector that you look at it. It will never be in danger, because always you have to use data. And before I go to anything else, the approach on data that I have and I always have, there's four different stages. The first one is, yes, you have data, but out of the data you get the knowledge. After you basically start asking the data, what's happening here, what's happening there. Then you get into the information, and then data, information, knowledge, and then you have all the wisdom of what you basically have. But I will talk about you later on that side. So before we go there, my journey, as I said, I'm 25 years in data. I'm from Greece originally, down in Balkans. Especially, the Balkan area has a different approach in life and in the business. We're very, very hardworking people, and very, very passionate with what we're doing. And yeah, like I believe a lot of you are from that side as well. Started with an ERP and stock management consulting, came to UK back in 2007, did a master's degree in data, and straight after that did a PhD with business transformation and master data management, focused only on the data. And in 2011, set up Data Clarity with Kevin, We were working on a big transformation program. Back then it was 30 million pounds business, and again, everything started from the data. The data had to be accurate for for this project to be successful. So based on that, we said, okay, shall we start the business? And we started the business back then. And since then, we have been involved in 20 plus major transformation programs in retail and aviation. Very big multi-million pounds projects. And again, the starting point always is the data. Now, I think I'll go a little bit back on my journey as well on the data, but I think the biggest thing that I want to basically share with you as an international candidate is basically the challenges that I had to face and how I responded to these challenges. So, like everybody, moving to a new country and starting from scratch is a big thing. You didn't have any network, you didn't have any basically nobody, you will not have anyone to come. You come basically here and you don't know nothing. You don't even know how to order, food at the restaurant. I mean, I faced that again. I'm outside Greece so many years. I was in Germany and I couldn't even know how to order proper food the last few days. So it is a big shock. Understanding also the county that you are going. You need to know where you're coming. You need to understand the culture. You need to do your analysis. Nowadays, you are lucky, guys, because you have all this access to the information. You have the AI helpers, on the phone. I can ask things on the phone and then basically understand what's going on. Instant translators, all of these nice things. I didn't have that, so that gives you an extra little advantage. Um, adjusting the technical role to a business-facing responsibility. Data is not only a technical part. When you deal with data, you have to basically be in a position to explain to people what you see. You have to be able to tell a story, and this story comes, with soft skill as well. And you touch every single aspect of the business. Yes, technical side. You need to translate that though in a different language so people can understand it. And the communication and the tone that we have, we people that we are, the international people, we are used to a different style of communicating. And I use that again as myself. At the beginning, it was very difficult because, and I'll say that as a bit of a joke. I mean, we Greeks, and I don't know if we have any Greeks on the call. We look, we're very passionate and we look very angry all the time, especially me. And especially when we talk with other Greeks or we speak on the phone, it looks like that we are arguing, which we are not. My famous photo that everybody basically says to me, well, you have the Greek resting face, which is an angry posture on the face, which has nothing to do with being negative or anything like that. That's just being Balkan. And this needs to be adjusted because people see you and they don't understand. They don't understand how you feel and how you basically what your posture is or anything like that. You will have to basically, and that was a problem. Everybody was coming to me. Why are you angry, Pana? I'm not. This is me. This is how I am. This is how we grew up. This is part of my culture. And again, we will basically discuss that a little bit more later on, I think. But the other thing that I had to face was basically uh, all the balancing that I had to do between, full-time work. I was also lecturing. I didn't tell you that. I was also lecturing at the university, and I was doing my PhD. So there was a period that it was quite stressful. And I'm sure when you come in UK or in any other country, if you're coming first for to study or to do a job, everything comes together and everything basically comes into your mind and makes it a little bit difficult. But it's a small phase. It's from a period perspective, it will pass. It will pass, and it has the ups and downs, and at the ups it will be challenging, but then be sure that the balancing will come. The other thing, and I think this is the biggest problem that I had to do, is basically prove myself. When I joined the company in Sheffield back in 2008, I was the first person that this company had hired, which was basically international. So it was 1,200 people, but I was the only non-English person in the company. So I always had to prove myself, and everybody, was looking. Oh, how come we have this? Obviously now, nearly 20 years later, things are much different. But you're always have to prove a little bit more, and I had to do that, and I know how basically difficult was that. But as long as you understand that this is something that you have to do, and basically make yourself comfortable with that, then everything else will be easier. The other thing that I had to do as well and face was the Brexit, because during my time, out of nowhere, suddenly UK stopped being part of the EU. So that was causing so much stress to me, which was like, okay, what are we going to do? What's going to be? I mean, we have basically bought a house here, we have a family, we have work. What is it going to be? Are we, will we have to go back? Will we have to basically? I don't know. It was such a difficult and stressful time. But you know, if you everything will go, everything comes and goes, and as long as you're staying consistent and staying basically strong on what you believe and basically focusing on what you have to do, everything else will be easy. Now, all of these things, together are affected. I think now it's going to be much different because the Brexit has been established. There are procedures now for coming to UK to work, different level of visa. It's more standard, but again, we will have other challenges. The world, the earth keeps moving, so challenges will always be around. So, but I'll try to give you what did I do to basically go over them. And as you can see on the screen, I have the red ones as the challenges that I personally had to face, and the blue ones of what did I do to basically make it to go over them. So, the first one, earning the trust. I was always focusing on delivering consistently measurable value. So everything makes sure that what you do, you first of all for yourself understand what the value is and be able to tell the story of that. The second one is building credibility. So understanding what the real problems are, understanding how basically this will be solved, solving the problems, and making the difference. As an international, you always have to make a little bit different. At least that's how it was, a few years ago. Now, as I said, it's more flexible. It's the new generation of management that have taken in. It's a little bit easier, but you always have to do the extra step. And that's not only for you being international. This is as a career advice that I would give. Always try to solve the problem and measure and basically make the difference. This gives you a lot of credibility, and all the relationships are based in credibility. And I see that with my business. I was speaking with 30 airlines over the last few days. They all have the credibility as the starting point. If you don't have that, then you don't have any business, and you can do anything. You cannot do anything. Right. The third one is becoming a key contributor on turning data into results. That's linked a little bit with the previous one. Data tells the story, and the story is results. You need to be able to tell that and being basically the one who understands that and tells the story, i.e., the results. It's very, very important to understand that, and very, very important to understand what you are doing. This is a little bit, goes a little bit beyond the data. Depending on the industry that you are, you need to focus. You need to investigate it. You need to learn and research about the industry. So, for example, I'm in retail and aviation. I had to understand fully how these industries work. But in the past, I was dealing with electricity, sorry, with with power, with manufacturing. I had to be an expert on a car manufacturing, production line because I was working on a project there. You need to understand the business to understand the data. So before you basically go into any of that, understand the business. Then the data will become easier for you to understand. And once you understand that and you are able to tell a story and being the contributor on what this story is, this is how you gain the recognition and you add not only value on specific on small things, but you are adding a strategic value for that business. Knowing the data, understanding the business, and explaining the story, giving you recognition. And this is how this recognition, obviously, will make you feel better, but it will add a strategic value because you will become the person that will basically with a subject matter expert. You will have access to the information. You will have the full journey, from the data to information to knowledge to wisdom. Achieving that, it will add strategic value to the business that you are dealing with at any point. And of course, all of that will create a big impact not only for you, but it will create a big impact for the company that you are working. So all of these things together, basically describing the full data journey. Data, information, knowledge, wisdom. Because the wisdom is the thing that adds value and creates the impact and basically makes you stand out, adding strategic value, recognition, all of these things. Right. So enough of the problems and the challenges that I had to face. Let's see how the job market basically is in UK according to what I believe, right? So high demand data analysts and BI developers and BI and data engineers and the data scientists. I just want to basically stand on this one a little bit because everybody says, "Oh, I want to do data," but there are so many different aspects in data. I have different people doing data analysis. I have different people doing BI reports. I have different people doing engineering, and I have different people doing data science. These are all based in data, but these are all completely different skills. So when someone basically says, "Oh, I want to deal with data," they do need to understand that there is a big differentiation, and not everything is for everyone. For example, I have a background on ERP and MDM. That was my PhD. But at the same time, as a data engineer, which I had to basically build a lot of high transactional systems, had to understand all the physical structure of the database at the back end, which all of these skills have nothing to do with the data scientist. The data scientist is someone who creates the models and creates and understands the maths behind it. Which again, this is something completely different from a BI developer, from a intelligence developer, because the business intelligence developer, yes, needs to understand the data that they have at the back, but they need to create a visual story. These people are the visual storytellers for the data that an organization has. And the data analyst is the ones that are actually explaining this story. So all of these things are different skills that they have the main base, the data, but it's completely different things. And yes, someone can do everything, but doing everything doesn't make you good on all of them. I'm doing everything from a little bit. It's not really good. I would personally suggest you, and this is how I hire a data clarity, specific skills for specific things. Ah, yeah, and that's what I'm saying on the next one. So basically, areas that the other bit as well, data governance that has a data background, but that has nothing to do technically with the data. Data governance and all those kind of things. It's basically around policies and around basically applying structure on how the data is accessed and all those kind of things. It's again different skill with the data on the background. Now, industries and this is my view. Multiple the retailers they want to be, very very close to their customer. Oh, what happened? Oh, sorry. So, give me a sec. Yeah. So retail people are basically craving for customer insights, understand the customer, create hyper personalization, and basically be able to approach the customers in a more personal level by understanding who the customer is. And all of this is basically based on data. Aviation, my industry, in-flight retail, all of these operations at the back needs to have a very, very, very harmonized data. Finance, everything is risk modeling, fraud detection, reporting. All these sectors, healthcare, you saw what happened with COVID a few years ago. Everything is basically data driven. These industries have very, 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 very big need for data solution and data, um, you know, data people that can solve these challenges for them. In UK, I think obviously London is one of the big hub for data people. Manchester is another one. Midlands, where I'm based in Nottingham, there's a lot of big organizations here that deal with data. I mean, we have Butch, we have a Rolls Royce next to us, next to my office here. Uh, big organization based on data. And Leeds and up north Scotland again, especially around government, health, and energy around that side. Remote work is still something that it's around, but and I can tell from my business, we are not really supporting the remote working in this because especially when you start, you need the people to basically build the team effort. And when you are basically have specific skill, you need to integrate with all the others. But there are flexible roles, and there are many people that they are basically doing a hybrid role. And of course, how you start by internship, graduate schemes, apprenticeships. There's so many ways that you basically can enter into that. My if I could do everything again, starting back 20, 30 years ago, I would probably start with internship, graduate, and or apprenticeship because yes, academia is a very very good way to learn things, and I'm very lucky to have the opportunity to spend a lot of time of my life in academia with masters and PhD. But in reality, I would prefer to have access to a work experience, real experience, and basically starting dealing with the problems and understand how I could resolve the problem rather than learning it, learning the theory about it. So that's something that I would do differently. Some people probably, it works different to some people and different to some others. But yeah, my advice is get into the problems as soon as you can, because that's how you build character and you build a knowledge base and a knowledge library of solutions for you that you can use later on. As I said at the beginning, data is foundational for everything. Once you solve a problem, you know how you can apply it in a different industry. Right. The next one, skills that matters. So I think I touched a little bit about the technical skills and the soft skills. I think when you're dealing with data, soft skills is very 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 important, extremely important, because you need to be able to tell a story. You need to be able to understand the problem, and you need to be able to basically create an analytical thinking on what you see, and basically change the way that you see the world and change the way that you see the data. So for me, is more important someone that I hire, that I employ quite a lot of data people. It's more important the soft skills, and then and people basically to understand what is the actual problem that they have to solve, rather than the technical skill. The technical skill you will learn. Google is your friend. Now you have a ChatGPT, AI, and all these kind of technical things. You will resolve them. You will learn. You will ask your colleagues. One way or the other, you will get there. But the soft skills, it's something that you need to have, and this is more important, because also, as you progress your career and as you grow up as a data specialist, you will come to contact with customers, with third party. You will need to be able to get out of your shell and understand how all this communication game is completely different. So soft skills and the business understanding and yes, and a little bit entrepreneurship, because you have to treat that as your own you have to treat it as your own process. You need to define this process for you to be able to understand what's happening. So yeah, for me, this is more important than the technical skills. But I understand that you need to have the technical skills and all these kind of things. And of course, in order to get to the door, you need to have some qualifications. So a degree related to data is always nice to have. It's not necessary. I think the qualifications from Microsoft are more important. And I have personally done quite a lot, about 30 different Microsoft certifications. Started by very early 2000. But there is a big difference when you're doing these kind of certifications, because I have seen also the other thing. People are downloading what do we call it, an emulator, and just running tests and learn the test, in a way, in a visual way. No, you need to understand what you're doing. Only and only then the Microsoft certifications or the Oracle or whatever, all the certifications are valid. And people will catch you out. People that they know the game will catch you out if you try to basically, well, I have 10 certifications on Microsoft doing data fabric, data BI, and all those kind of things. Okay, if you know only the answers to these certifications, you will be caught out, and then it will be a problem, because automatically you will have a big rejection, which is difficult to get rid of. And of course, all the Azure and AWS, all the cloud stuff, it are important, but I put them as part of the qualification process and the certification process. I think the other element that you need to have as you grow up as well is to understand how a project works. How the DevOps work, how what the Scrum Master, what the Scrum meeting is in the morning, how the Agile works, in general project management, because you will be able to work with the team in a good way and support the delivery, because you always have to be a part of a delivery team. So collaboration with them is is key, and to understand how everything works. I mean, we do have DevOps on Azure DevOps. Everybody has their task. There is a full process that you need to follow. Being familiar with this process and being very methodical with this process will help not only you but also your organization to understand how the whole team performs, and if we need any more people to support because the work is too much, or if there is a skill, for example, that needs to be improved or added. Right. Here are some trends and AI and data trends that I think we discussed them already. But yes, AI is moving fast. I'm using it every day. You're using it every day. You can be using it for for creating whatever, but also for helping you with the emails, helping you with the coding. ChatGPT now with the 4.5 can create code for you. It's so good, and so you are so lucky to have that at that point of your career, and basically be able to help you understand a good way of writing code, because everything is well structured when it's generated. Of course, the human element is always important, right? I mean, it will not solve you the problem because it will not understand the business problem, but it will help you create something in a well structured way, adding your influence on that. Data infrastructure and automation, all the data ops and ML ops, if you're doing AI projects or anything like that, these are all important. The data integration is a massive um, key element for every project. And there's a specific area on that you can focus. Data governance and master data, we've discussed about that earlier. I told you about how important that is, but that has not to do so much with technicalities. This is more of a process that you need to follow. You need to ensure when you're dealing with data and basically going through all the journey that we said, i.e., data, information, knowledge, wisdom. It is important to ensure that the data quality and the data integrity is never ever violated, and is never basically um, captured as a second part of priority. It's always your first priority. You need to assume that before you start doing anything, that the data integrity and the data quality is always ensured. And yeah, what do you need to do? You need to know SQL. That's the most important thing, guys. If you don't know SQL when you're dealing with data, then start learning now, because you will always need that. Always need that. Try to understand the SQL. Python obviously is if you want to do data science, it's a really good it's another must. And data modeling, it's the most also understanding soft skill of the data, because SQL and Python are hard skills, i.e., you're writing code. Data modeling is an understanding, relational database or non-relational database, but how physically this needs to be linked. It's very important, very important. And as I said at the beginning, at the end, the last box, business thinking, understanding with business thinking. People are looking for employers. We are looking for people that can combine the technical understanding with the business thinking. And again, as I said, this is the biggest strength. If you understand your problem that you have to solve, technology will follow. The number one step is this. Just conscious of the time, guys. How are we doing?
Reaching for the unmute button. There's 5 minutes and plenty of time for questions. You can run over a little bit if we need to, but yeah.
Okay. All right. So just going quickly then, the last few bits. Am I still sharing my screen or no?
We now see your background.
Okay. All right. Now.
Thanks, Dr. Pana.
Okay, perfect. Right. So I put a few things here. I've talked about it quite a bit, but basically, coming, from a different country also has its own strength, because you have with a unique perspective, bringing fresh thinking into a new environment. It gives you the extra strength that you have to adapt. So basically, you increase and create the skill of navigating through different cultures, different environments, and basically make you more resistant, but also resistant, so you can basically accept more things that are coming to you. Language and communication, obviously, we all learn English in a specific way in our country, but when we basically come to UK or to any other country, we basically have a massive shock with with what we think that we know and what we actually know on the language. Uh, Problem solving mindset, and this is very important because you guys build this skill when you come here. You cannot realize how many things you are solving by actually figuring out how you will establish your condition and your environment to basically take on this new responsibility. Cultural awareness. You have multiple backgrounds. You're aware of multiple backgrounds, and you can actually navigate through that. Technical debt. Yes, you're coming here with already a set of skills that that you have already built. So that gives you also another strength as well. And you are coming here with the extra, basically, objective to prove yourself and to prove value. So you are, or you have to go to go to the extra mile, and you are doing it because you're moving the country. You're jumping to the next level. So you're already proving that you're ready to do that. Right. So, okay, I think where to find opportunities. Obviously, the guys at Sarah can help you with that. Speaking with LinkedIn, well, having a really good LinkedIn page and networking. Networking is the most important thing. That's how you start building a small ecosystem with similar-minded people, which is very, very important. I'm not going to basically stay here quite a lot because you can see the slides. I'll send the slides to the guys and you can basically go through that. What I want to do on this, in 2 minutes, there are two things that I would say to you, you have to do, and please, please never ever do it. So the starting point is what you have to do, build a portfolio, be able to showcase what you have done, even if it's the smallest thing, having done being able to prove what you have that you have done something and you have basically managed to create a record of it and present it, tell a story about it. It's very, very important than just having nothing. LinkedIn is your tool, well, at least according to what I think. I am connecting, I think, with about just under 10,000 people on LinkedIn. It's very, very important to create content that is engaging and also that showcases your skill and your knowledge, and what you are able, how are you able to benefit someone. CV and cover letter are very important, very, very important, because especially the cover letter tells your story. You have one page of opportunity to tell your story. So never be lazy about writing a cover letter for a job that you are applying, because we are reading this and it's when we see that it's a generic one, okay, obviously this person didn't need and it wasn't very, very interesting. And the most important thing from all of them, I mean, I have stopped interviews in the first 5 minutes because the people didn't even know what my company was doing and that they were applying for. So why are you applying for a company if you don't know what the company does, or if you don't have questions? Always know the company that you are applying to. Do your research. This is your job before your job. Do your research, understand where you're going, present yourself in a story related to what the company, showcase the value that you will add to this company. Otherwise, there are people that they will do and they will have the benefit. Don't use the same CV. Obviously, that's not the same one, but please, everything updated needs to be updated. Don't use words that just are there. I mean, AI. If you haven't done anything with AI, don't put AI on your CV. It's irrelevant. If you haven't done mathematics level, for data science, don't do that. Data engineering is good enough. Data modeling is good enough. Don't put things that you haven't basically done. And again, don't rely only on total jobs or anything like that. Go through networking events. Go connect with like-minded people. These people will help you, and you will help them when the time is right. And again, communication. Not undervalue the communication. I said to you earlier on the previous slide, soft skill and business understanding is more important on the data area than the actual writing SQL. And the last part, please don't get rejections. Don't get discouraged by the rejections. At the beginning is hard, yes, but every no is one step closer to a yes. You will be there for someone that they need. You will be able to showcase your value, your good value, to someone that needs it. So this will happen. Might be a little bit challenging at the beginning, but it will happen. And once that happens, everything else takes its way. Right. Here I have some things that basically how you can do more training, where you can basically how you can uh, what you can do with a little bit of training, with a little bit of activity from your side, a little bit of studying, but also use the LinkedIn. Try to connect at least with 5 new data professionals on LinkedIn and make yourself aware of that. When you connect with someone, give them a reason why you connected with them and give them a reason why you connected with them and what are you trying to get out of it. Of course, it's the social element. Speak to these people. They will help you and you will help some others when the time comes back to you. And follow the companies that you want to work and interact with them. When you're interacting with the companies we always look after who's interacting with us. There is always a reason for everything. So just to finish up, few things. Data is growing, as we said. Your international background is a strength and not a barrier. Use it as a strength because it is a strength. Mastering technical skills and communication. Communication is more important, but technical skills are important as well, but not as much as communication on that line of duty. Make yourself visible on LinkedIn. And don't wait to feel ready. Start, apply, and iterate to improve. Breaking into data isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. And your journey is unique. And we all basically need voices like yours with different point of view. That's it. Any questions?
Amazing. Thank you very much for that, Dr. Pana. That was very, very thorough and a great overview of the sort of data job landscape. And in terms of some of the tips you provided at the end, the practical tips, so a lot of that is stuff we provide via the Sarah Academy as well. So if candidates are sort of struggling to, or if any of you are struggling to get started, then feel free to reach out to us and we can discuss how we can potentially support. We have had a few specific questions. So
Okay.
we've had one from Atto, which is just asking around sort of pursuing a PhD and whether you think that's kind of worthwhile for job hunters or kind of to what extent that actually improves your chances of landing a role. So I don't know if you have, I mean, obviously sort of quite a personal topic, but yeah, if you have any thoughts on that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Right. So having a PhD, right? So first of all, why do you want to do a PhD? Doing a PhD is basically adding adding something new to the body of knowledge. So something that doesn't exist, it's something that will add value. PhD is not for basically helping you with a career. It will give you skills like analytical skills and research skills. So, for example, it will help you understand how you will how you do research, how what's the methodology will help you to get to a result better, the difference between qualitative and quantitative research and all of these kind of things, and will basically prepare your mindset on a more research based career. Doing a PhD just for the title, it's not going to help you. Doing, finding a job, for example, on it will not. You need to have specific reasons to do PhD, and it's what value you're adding to the to the body of knowledge. Everything else, I think it's a waste of time. I don't want to say it's a waste of time, but if you don't do an academic career, don't do a PhD. That's my personal right.
Yeah, that's very good advice, and I would agree with that. It's in that sort of, if you're not genuinely interested in pursuing it for the sake of pursuing it, don't do it as a stepping stone to get a job, because there are easier ways to do that in reality. So we've had a couple of questions just around if you have any specific advice for international candidates in terms of the challenges with obtaining a visa, and maybe the best way to kind of, because I guess this is something you've got sort of strong experience in with your own background, but if you have any kind of specific advice around negotiating that or kind of overcoming that barrier, particularly for candidates pursuing jobs in data.
Yeah, so there obviously, there is a big expense to the company having a tier two sponsor. We do sponsor visas from personal experience. We do sponsor visas. You need a tier two sponsor visa for someone to come in, but and it costs about a substantial amount of money, especially when they want to bring their family in as well. Not coming on your own. There is a significant cost for the business, but the cost compared to the benefit that you will get from the person is a little bit irrelevant. If this person will help you resolve this problem, as that the business has, they will pay the visa, they will pay the sponsorship. I think it's a little bit difficult more now, especially with the Brexit, for the university or for the internships, because you need a tier 5 level visa if you are not from a UK university. And if you are from a UK university and you're doing a master's degree here, you can do the internship without this visa because you have the visa, the studying visa covers that. But if you are, for example, from a Spanish university or a Greek university, it doesn't work very, very easily for UK. So, for example, because the internship will, even if it's 3 months, we will have to basically go through the tier 5 sponsorship visa, and that's a little bit expensive for 3 months only. But anything else, it's very, it's basically doesn't really matter because if you are important to the business for all the reasons that you are, then you will basically get the sponsorship.
Yeah, I think that's great advice, and that's something we really try and emphasize through the Sarah Academy as well, which is if you can kind of demonstrate that you're a strong enough candidate, then actually in many ways the visa sponsorship element can almost be a positive for the employer because of the sort of additional retention that they're likely to get in when they take you on. So that was good. We have another question, which is just around maybe sort of targeted more at candidates that don't come from an academic data background. So they might not have studied data science or something at university. What is the best way for them to sort of develop skills in data science, and what kind of level do they have to get to actually be competitive in pursuing a data job, would you say?
Yeah, so that's actually a very, very good point because Microsoft and okay, the answer might be a little bit biased because I'm a Microsoft guy, but Microsoft has an amazing learning area with with all the learning paths that basically helps you understand how everything basically works and has all these learning modules in a sequence. So try to do that and take the exams on Microsoft. However, don't basically just download the VLC file and take the exams only on its own. If you don't learn and if you don't go through the modules that that the Microsoft Path has, you will be caught out that you're basically just trying to get a certificate without actually understanding what you're learning. So you don't have to go to the university, but study, do examples by yourself, go to GitHub, see what other people are doing, download, from there, and keep yourself busy. Try do small projects that will basically make you think, make you understand, and also give you the knowledge of how do I solve this problem.
Okay, amazing. That's very good advice. If there was one certificate you could recommend sort of job seekers try and gain, what would you recommend that certificate is?
There is, well, starting with anything that is related to data in Microsoft. If you go on the Microsoft path, learning path, you will see it has them all there. So if you want to be on the data engineer, it has, for example, data engineer associate, data engineer, data science associate, data everything. But there are multiple levels. Try to focus in one level each time, and go. Sorry, try to finish one line before you go to the next one. So and there is also a prerequisite. So you cannot take this exam if you haven't basically passed the previous exam. So the path is easy to navigate on the thing. So depending on the path that you want to follow, it's that don't go for the data science straight away. Try to understand the business. So go for the data analysis first, because then you will understand. It will make sense more when you go into the coding, what the analysts want to see.
Okay, that's really interesting. That's very good advice. And then we just have a few questions around candidates still struggling to land jobs, even though they've got their sort of masters in data science. I'm just wondering if potentially the kind of communication element you mentioned might be a really important factor there, and if you have any advice for candidates who have strong academic backgrounds who are still struggling.
Make yourself visible. Make yourself visible on LinkedIn. People, I mean, don't underestimate the power of LinkedIn. Follow companies, interact with what people are posting, post and tag people. It's Don't be afraid. It's better to basically ask for forgiveness than not doing anything. But use LinkedIn is I cannot stress enough how important it is.
Interesting. That's great advice. I think one of the big things we try and do in the Sarah Academy is encourage candidates to post regularly on LinkedIn, and we sort of track that and give recommendations on that. But I think it's a really, really good way of having even employers reaching out to you sometimes, just building up a personal brand. I think that's a really good point.
Don't be you don't have anything to lose. It's only gaining. Of course, don't send irrelevant things, right? But
yeah,
try to create your brand. Try to understand. It's all about creating a story and how this story basically gives a message. And what's the message of the story? Just this is the process. Make yourself visible. Make yourself relevant as well. Visible and relevant, because visible and irrelevant, basically, it's.
Yeah, that's very good advice. And Chiamaka and Akshay, hopefully that goes some way towards answering your question. And I think just one final question is, what is the best way of displaying your portfolio as a job seeker, or how would you recommend doing that in a really engaging way?
PowerPoint. Don't go into the create a PowerPoint. Don't go into the coding details. It's 1 minute. 1 minute. Yeah, 1 minute. Sorry, I have to go in.
No, that's right. We've got to wrap up, but it's really useful, some of this stuff.
But yeah, don't go into the details. Create the value. Show the value, not anything else.
So better to have it in PowerPoint or in a nice like PDF you can send to employers versus having it in GitHub or something.
Do anything. Just basically, what is the value? What is the value?
Okay, amazing. Okay, well that is very, very useful advice as well. Okay, well I think that is all we have time for. You have to go, Dr. Pana, of course. But thank you very much for that. That was fascinating.
Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, guys. Everybody. So not just feel free and yeah, then I will be able to see your interactions on LinkedIn.
Nice. Okay, well, thank you so much for that, Dr. Pana. That was really valuable. And thank you everyone for attending as well and for your questions. And hopefully that was useful. And we'll be